I got it, and then since I got it on CD, which was huge because my board broke.
I interrupt for a second to point out that the Skype subtitled Jay Brecky as Tupac?
Oh, holy shit.
Holy shit!
Good stuff.
X-Files theme going off right now.
I love this one.
Hey folks, you are now listening to Matty Mo and the two hardest boys to wrangle in the podcasting business.
Woohoo!
Hi everybody, it's Matty, your host of the Indieheads podcast. I'm of course your host Matty, and here are my two wrangly rowdy boys here to join me for this special podcast. Who are my rowdy boys?
Vegan Crunch Supreme.
Hey, I'm Alex.
And I'm Jeremiah, on Twitter at vegancrunchwrapsupreme.org. Donate, like, subscribe.
God. Alright, hey folks, it's been a little bit, but we are back. We have 3 very important albums to talk about that have come out.
This is the acronym cast.
While we were away, just get this out of the way. We're not talking about Igor on this podcast. I'll probably
because it fucking sucks.
Okay, we'll get more in depth about that part. Maybe in the next podcast episode or two.
For the Igor cast, I think we should have every podcast member on and just be yelling about it the whole time.
Not a bad idea. I mean, everyone can send me audio and
just like one person, the one person who likes it. I don't know. I feel like it's Brit for some reason. Has to hold back all these boys.
God. Okay. Anyways,
I actually haven't listened to it.
It's pretty bad.
I want to be part of the team, you know.
I don't know if I go so far to say it's bad, but it's definitely like. Okay, I kind of see why I stopped caring about Tyler a little bit ago.
It's certainly no UFOF, the seminal 2019 album by Big Thief.
This is true.
All right,
He's not wrong.
I thought we were starting with Father of the Bride, but let's just start off with UFOF then.
Let's start off with UFOF. So, I don't know what the second F stands for.
It's friend.
UFO
friend.
Aww, that's so nice. It's good. I believe I was playing Minecraft with Alex when I listened to it for the first time, and so I was listening to Contact, and I was like, "Yo, this is pretty lit." And then Alex was like, "Yeah." Saw me write in all caps, "WTF," because the little like, Rah! And then the guitar solo came in. It was over. Contact might be the best opener of the year so far. What a freaking baloney smacker. Oh my god. It's ruinous. Like, straight up. Not allowed.
The color is pretty nice. It's classic Rocky, but I don't mind. I can abide.
It is.
And I'm pretty sure the screams in that song, like, I can't tell 100%, but I'm pretty sure she made that with her guitar.
No
way.
Like,
I do not think those are recorded human screams. I think that's a guitar sound.
God damn. Who let this happen?
I don't know.
I guess we know.
I just want to note that, so I found out while we were, before we started recording this podcast, I found out an option on Skype where you can start subtitling. So basically, like, it's going to recognize your voice.
It's censored goddamn.
It's censored goddamn.
Oh my god.
This album is simply too not safe for work for Skype, alright?
I mean, yeah, it's just such a good album. Yeah. I don't really, have a lot to say.
Following Adrienne Lenker and Big Thief the past few years has been so thrilling, so rewarding, and this album is such a huge step forward for them as a band.
It's just fucking good.
It is good.
It's just like, what else am I supposed to say?
Did you guys see the Indieheads thread where everyone's like climbing over themselves to compare UFOF to Radiohead?
God.
It's
You know what albums? Hold on. You know what album? Actually, you guys talk for a second. I'll tell you what albums this reminds me of in a second.
Okay, I'll tell you what album this reminds me of. Actually, it's fucking Rocket by Alex G, which is a weird comparison. It's not in sound or style, but it's like how it takes folk music to like really innovative, interesting places and kind of creates a unique world in every track. It's a lot less in your face than that album. Like the things that make each track unique are a lot more subtle, but it's so affecting nonetheless.
All right, I have my analogy here. So in this sense, the album reimagines and expands Big Thief's relationship to album rock, like Loveless or Kid A or Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. It's the result of a supernaturally talented obsessive trying to perfect music while redefining their relationship to album-oriented rock. There's more care and nuance put into the scream filtering on Contact than most bands manage in an entire career of recording.
Are you reading word for word the Currents review?
I would never do such a thing.
God.
Yes, but just the fact that you would accuse me of this?
A curse upon your bloodline.
God. It is true that this album deserves that hyperbole much more so than Currents did.
Mm-hmm.
Did we ever punch Ian Cohen in the face for that? I know like we were planning on it, but I just don't know if we ever like
if he goes to Pitchfork Fest this year, we'll see. But I feel like this year there's not enough stuff that he would really like to go, like to be like, I gotta go to this festival, you know?
Are you the only person
especially without Tame Impala there?
Yeah, because you two aren't going and I'm going.
Yeah.
I think
you want to know why I'm not going?
Why?
Because the lineup sucks again.
That's a great take. You want to know why I'm not going? The lineup sucks and I'll be in Poland! Yahtzee, bitch! Anyways, I don't really like know what to say about UFOF other than that it's fucking great. It's one of those few times where a record like really just does leave me speechless and just like I can't really say anything other than like listen to this. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know?
She's like really skilled at creating a sense of place in her writing.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything's so grounded and real and you feel like you're there.
And there's some true bops on this record.
Really beautiful. Oh yeah, like she's a great songwriter, and Buck Meek, their guitarist, like only makes it better.
Yeah, it's definitely like big cummies all around.
Matty, did you ever listen to the album?
I did listen to it once, and I feel like I could get into this more if I wanted to, but I didn't really feel like a strong desire. I don't know. Big Thief they've never done it for me. I can't fully articulate why. It just never really happened for me.
So,
but Masterpiece, the song though, that's a fucking great song though.
Masterpiece slaps.
If Big Thief sounded more like that song, I would be way more into Big Thief. But I don't know. I feel like when it comes to like more like kind of more kind of quiet folk stuff or folk stuff with some like big large guitars, I feel like Hand Habits and like Wilmelda do it more for me than Big Thief.
Well, that's not even really your purview. Like, I don't even feel like that's what Hand Habits is doing.
I mean, no, but they're definitely artists working in like a similar space. I mean, the last Hand Habits album that came out on Big Thief's like former label, and Wilmelda is like literally opening for Big Thief, like on a couple shows coming up. So
Saddle Creek is such a good label.
I think they're putting out the new Steph Chura record, which Jackson's really hyped about. But nevertheless, is there anything else we want to say about UFOF, or do we want to go straight into motherfucking Father of the Bride?
I'm okay with that.
I'm ready.
Satiated.
All right.
I mean,
I've slaked my thirst on the blood of innocence. This case.
Alex, do you want to talk about the whole build-up leading into Father of the Bride, or do you?
Oh my god, I wrote a rant about this.
Oh boy,
because
all right.
I needed to get it out of my system because I couldn't think about or process or enjoy the record until I did. So I do have a rant that I could just read word for word.
Let me just hear it. Let it rip.
So I wrote, it's so hard for me to talk about this record. I think it's hard because of the narrative around it, around Vampire Weekend. So much of the discussion about it has been about Vampire Weekend being good or bad, about them being out of touch or in touch, about the time between this and Modern Vampires of the City, about Rostam and Ezra, and so little of it has been about the musical content. I think this album is fun and thoughtful and deceptively dark, which is true of their whole discography, but it's hard for me to focus on it and really absorb it with all this noise around it. Truth be told, I don't really care about how long it's been, or if Vampire Weekend is out of touch, or if Rostam and Ezra have bad blood, and I don't really want to think about it anymore. Context is always important, but I think we let journalistic narrative steer the conversation way too much. Not just here, with everything. We give too much credence to it. I think that if you are someone who really likes Vampire Weekend, has followed them through their career, this album should do for you much the same that the others do, although it is very different in the writing style and instrumental approach. That's my spiel.
Go off, King.
Go off.
My cat just climbed across my shoulders. I'm gonna go on video. 1 second.
Okay.
So you can see.
You guys can't see this, but we can see it. I'm very excited to go like, aww. And then I'll talk about my thoughts. Oh,
there's Alex. We've spotted. Oh, there's the cat. I thought it was your jacket.
Nope.
Hold on. Take a screenshot of this so we can superimpose it into the
YouTube
video.
video.
Ollie's just losing it. Hey, Ollie. Hey, Ollie.
He can't hear you.
You want to fucking fight?
My cat hates Jeremiah.
I'll walk into a room.
I don't know
Ollie's
why, but he just fucking Jeremiah.
I'm like, I get it. I do the same thing. I've been there.
Okay. Anyways,
just burying his face in my hair.
Where's my dog? Oh, she's behind me. She's probably mad at me.
Mashka. The beautiful Mashka.
Micah.
Mashka.
I do call her Majka most of the time.
I call her Mac a lot. Hey, Mac.
Alright, anyways,
moving on.
God damn it. I knew doing a podcast with you two was going to be a fucking nightmare.
It could be worse. We could be both playing Minecraft right now.
True. This is true. Anyways, Father of the Bride. Now, this is a record that, if you follow me on Twitter, you do kind of know already my thoughts on it. I am shockingly in love with this record when I really was not expecting to love this record at all. I didn't think I was going to hate this record. I just thought I wasn't going to be interested by it whatsoever. None of the singles really grabbed me. I was just like, okay, I guess I'll check it out when it comes out. And I kind of love it.
Though I love the singles, they do work a lot better on the album.
Oh,
like
yeah,
in context. Like Harmony Hall, so weird as a Vampire Weekend single, and on some level it was like, oh my god, are they a pop band now? Which, like, of course this album is so much poppier than like Modern Vampires, but it's I don't know. I don't think it's like out of character.
I mean, to say that Vampire Weekend has like never been a pop band when
For sure.
Which
They've
is
been
like
a pop band since day one.
Yeah, no. Like there's song again. How many songs from that first album did you hear in like a Honda car commercial or a Target ad or something like that? I mean, come on.
I mean, personally, none, but I believe that they could have been there.
But you never saw any of the commercials, the Tommy Hilfiger commercials and the Honda commercials that had Holiday in them? You never saw those?
I don't know, but
there were so many.
You probably did. You just don't remember.
Vampire Weekend was not on my radar in any capacity until Modern Vampires. Like, I hadn't heard of them. I didn't know who they were. So
Okay.
it's possible that I did see these things, but, like, just didn't know and forgot about it.
Okay,
That's a good take.
I see.
That's Stone Cold.
I want to say too. I before this album, I never could like fully be grabbed by Vampire Weekend. I just could not fully get into them. I don't know. It just something felt off each time. I'm like, oh, I like Diane Young and I like Cousins and I like all these songs from them, but I don't really like these albums all that much, or at least I just don't feel like going back to them. And I feel like this album, I think at this point I'm able to articulate why I really like this album, like the most of their previous work, and I think it's because I think it's honestly because Rostam is out of the band now. I feel like he's part of the reason. It's not, and it's because he was obviously a very big driving force behind the band, like the production and how they sounded, and I feel like having Ezra take over a bit more on that end does make this album a little less. The word I'm thinking is obnoxious.
It's fundamentally changed the feel of Vampire Weekend, like instrumentally.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think it's such a far cry that the songs are like unrecognizable.
Oh no!
And in fact, it's made me realize just how much of like a partnership it was. You know, like before I had kind of thought that Rostam was doing a lot of the like instrumental work, and Ezra was mostly focused on like lyrics and vocals. But you can tell that he's been like writing these songs the whole way too.
Oh yeah, like this isn't to say that Ezra didn't. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Vampire Weekend are still very obnoxious. Do not get me wrong. They're just a lot less obnoxious on this album, you know. And I think that it does. I think it's also a lot less loose because I feel like previous Vampire Weekend, a lot of their stuff, the songwriting and the production was all very tightly knitted, and this just feels like the band is having a bit more fun. They're just kind of loose. They're not really worried about narratives and stuff like that. They're just like, we're just gonna make a really fun, you know, pop rock record pretty much. And I like it. And I feel like also me not being a huge fan of Vampire Weekend does help my enjoyment of this record because like unlike you, Alex, like I'm not so focused on the narratives. It's like I didn't really pay much mind to like what journalists were saying and what fans were saying a whole lot. The most that I contributed, which do we want to mention the whole Ezra Koenig dated an 18-year-old thing? Do we want to get anywhere into that?
I don't think it's like something we need to talk about.
It's not, I won't get too in depth.
Super prepared to talk about.
Yeah.
And I also just think it's kind of a private matter, and like, I don't know.
And it's not confirmed, and it's like, you know, it's something that I thought was going to hinder my liking of this record because generally, if something comes out about that, it's like I kind of tune out. But for some reason, like I think just because it's so muddy and like what we know is still very weird. I'll probably cut this.
I don't know. I don't think any exploitation or abuse happened.
Oh,
like it's clear from the story that that's not what happened. It's just like culturally weird because of the age difference.
Yeah. I just feel like it's just like it feels like it does need, like, it doesn't totally need to be mentioned, but I feel like it's definitely like, I don't want this to be swept under the rug. I do feel like people do, like, if you're a fan of the band, I do feel like it's something you probably do, like, I feel like you do want to know. And you can have your own thoughts and opinions from there, from reading.
That's a good take.
Reading the diary.
I think so.
Because I feel like flat out ignoring it is just like it feels wrong. You know, I feel like I'd be remiss to not mention it.
That's extremely fair. I think it's just a shitty situation that they both kind of just got stuck in. Yeah. And I think there's like obviously there's some red flags in like the age difference and the like hero worship that was going on, but
yeah,
I think it mainly was just like it was just not a good time for either of them.
No. Yeah, if you put it in kind of flat plain terms, like it seems like, you know, one of Ezra's closest friends pressured him into going on a date with someone, and eventually he was like, yeah, okay. And then this whole bad situation spiraled out of that. Yeah.
So, I mean, I would, again, a bit more context, allegedly, we should say allegedly, Tabby Gevinson, who was 18 at the time, the founder of Rookie Mag, actress, I think she's been on a couple of Broadway plays and whatnot, dated Ezra Koenig when he was 30 years old. And if you can find, you basically just look at like Vampire Weekend, Tabby Gevinson, or like Ezra Koenig, Tabby Gevinson, you can probably find, you know, the Infinity Diaries and find out, again, allegedly, you know, she just refers to this person as the man, but like allegedly it's Ezra, and a lot of people have kind of speculated that.
I think there's pretty solid proof that it was Ezra.
Oh yeah. It's like basically it's like quote unquote confirmed, you know.
And so that the friend that kind of hooked them up and kind of pushed them together was Rostam. That's a little bit less clear, but like
It seems likely.
In her writing piece about it, she describes them going on a date and her wearing this particular outfit, and there's a picture of them together with her wearing that outfit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's very credible to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's get back. But now that we got that out of the way, let's just dive back into the record.
Okay, so actually, I'm glad that we brought this up because this is something. It has nothing to do with Tavi Gevinson, but it does have to do with just Ezra's personal life in general. And I think one of the things that I really loved about previous Vampire Weekend records was just the mystery. Even though, like, we were purported to know, like, it felt like we knew so much about them, like, oh, they're Columbia students, oh, ho, 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 you know? We didn't really know anything about them. Like, Ezra, there was, like, talk that Ezra had been in, like, a relationship for, like, 6 years or something. We didn't really know.
Yeah.
And that was kind of fun. And I know at some point he and his long-term girlfriend broke up. And now he's married to Rashida Jones, which is really cool because
they're not married. They're not married. They're
not married. I thought they were married.
They're not
Are
married.
They engaged?
I don't think they're engaged either. I think they're just like.
Are you sure? I think they got married because I think
they're still like.
I
mean, they had a kid together. They had a kid together.
I don't know that it really matters. They're lifelong partners. They have a child together.
Yeah, exactly.
It does matter because it means that a certain really over-the-top, outspoken super producer is the titular character on the album.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I'm just
gonna go take a look.
Quincy Jones is the father of the bride. Also, the mother of the bride was Norma on Twin Peaks. Rest in peace, Peggy Lipton.
Yeah. Oh.
All right. Yeah, they're not married, but Quincy Jones is the father of the bride, which I just like us all to appreciate.
Yeah. Well, again, we haven't really gotten any, like, besides, I guess, like, Harmony Hall a little bit, we haven't really gotten into a whole lot of the songs. And
let's talk about the music.
We're going to try to focus a little bit on the... I want to try to focus more on the non-singles, so I feel like, you know, the singles have been discussed to death. Let's just start off right with the intro. A very big contention point with this album, for some people, kind of a make or break with this album, is the appearances of Daniel Haim on various tracks throughout the record. 3 ones where she's like the main like co-lead on the songs doing duets. And my opinion of the song at first was that I did not like it. I thought some of the digital production was like really jarring because it's a bit more like it's trying to add some like kind of behind the scenes of it a little bit to the song, where you kind of hear some stuff going on in the background. You kind of hear some really jarring cuts, you know, purposely so, I feel like. And then Daniel Haim, despite she has a very lovely voice, I should say, but it is very jarring to hear a Vampire Weekend album where you're not hearing Ezra Koenig just like flat out, you know, like it's a little jarring or Rostam, like because they've created this like very insular world, and to have someone kind of enter that world is like a little like, huh, what's going on here?
Yeah,
but,
I didn't love the Daniel Haim duets at first, but now I see them as just absolutely necessary.
Oh,
and
yeah,
she's such an integral part of this album. Funnily enough, it's the reason why it's her on this record is because I think her and the producer Ariel Rekshad are together, and they recorded it in his house. So whenever they needed someone to do a duet, she was literally just upstairs.
I'm not sure if they're... I don't know if I heard dating, but she lived in the same building as, like, the home studio, pretty much. And
okay.
So, like, she would just come down and be like, oh, hey, we need someone. Do you want to come do this? And it's like, oh, yeah, sure.
So, these songs are far and away my favorites on the record.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love these ones. I think these are the far... So this is a very... I think we can all agree with it's a very experimental, very loose record. And I think of all the experiments... and all just the new things, I think the ones with Daniel Haim are the best. I think that they just embrace this country sound.
Yeah.
It's just not something I knew I needed from Vampire Weekend. It's just
I have
amazing.
decided that Yeehaw Weekend is very good.
Yeah, it's just superb. And I just think her voice is such a compliment to Ezra. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, you know, like the songwriting's a bit like cliche and stuff, but I think it's just delightful.
Yeah.
These are my favorite songs on the record, and I feel really like confident saying that.
Well, and you know, it's kind of like it's cliche on purpose, you know?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
This album is kind of exploring like the difficulties and kind of promises and cliches of like lifelong love, you know? And so of course they're going to like tackle kind of the things you're told about it that set you up for like expectations and disappointment. Of course they're going to explore that. I think honestly people rag on We Belong Together a lot. I think it's fantastic.
Delightful.
And like that bridge fuck. Let me look up the lyrics. Yeah.
I guess while you're looking them up,
schmangalangin'.
I will say I do agree with like the general consensus that it's the worst song on the record, but I don't think it's bad. I just think like of the duets, it's just the one that just does it was the one that I liked the most at first, but as I kept listening to the record, it's the one that I started to enjoy like less and less as I kept listening to this record. And by the way, one thing I want to mention about this record, and we'll kind of talk about it with the record we're talking about after this, and Jeremiah's going to kill me for saying it, but I will only hint at what I'm going to say. For such a long album, Father of the Bride has amazing pacing. The pacing of this album is
I'm going to have
great.
To strong disagree.
I think Father of the Bride has great pacing, but I resent you implying that Oh My God doesn't.
Yeah. So
we'll get to that.
My first listen to Father of the Bride was a really just dreadfully unpleasant one, because I mean, like, I was like, oh wow, I'm really enjoying this, and then I alt-tabbed and I looked at where I was on the track listing, and I just like my heart just sank. I was just like, oh god. And it doesn't really help when you get to the middle and it's like it's like the Steve Lacy tracks, which I respect what they're doing, but I think
but they're so good.
They're so good. They're the best songs on the record.
I don't like that sound as much as I like a lot of the other sounds. Sympathy's a great song. I just am not huge on Sunflower or Flower Moon.
That's where I disagree, man. I think Sunflower and Flower Moon, those are two of my favorite songs on the record. That's where the record
starts to lose me.
Flower Moon is so lovely.
I saw a post in the Vampire Weekend subreddit that it sounds like Mario Kart music, but it makes the song better. It makes it better for me.
My girlfriend and I have been singing Flower Moon like constantly for the past 24 hours. Because by the way, folks, last night, today being the 19th of May, last night was the Flower Moon. It was also a blue moon.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
What is a flower moon?
I think it's literally just the full moon in May.
Oh.
Okay. That makes sense. Anyways, but yeah, the Steve Lacy tracks, yeah, they're I wouldn't say they're one of my favorites on the record. I think my favorite we'll talk about.
They are my least favorites. Like,
I really
don't
like them.
I'm not usually one for saying this is my least favorite, and usually I like go out of my way to not have a least favorite, but like they just can be grating.
I mean, yeah,
and especially on such
a
long record when you're like you're not even halfway through the track listing, and it's like it can be tough.
I get it.
It can be tough.
I get it. It's definitely very like guitar noodly type shit, you know. Which I usually I can't stand, but for some reason they're just so happy, you know. They're just so fucking full of life and joy that it's like I can't hate this at all.
Oh yeah,
you know.
I find them so fun.
And
I have a really sizzling take.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
And it's probably extremely cursed as well.
Uh-oh.
But I think the album that this is most analogous to is actually a mixtape. No, sorry, it's not actually a mixtape. It's actually a playlist by one Aubrey Drake.
Oh god damn it! I knew you're going here.
Oh no!
As soon as you said playlist, I knew it.
Honestly, this album makes me think of Coloring Book by Chance the Rapper.
See, the reason I disagree there is because like Coloring Book is short.
Is it?
It's much shorter than this one.
I thought it was like 50
I'm gonna
minutes.
look this up.
I mean, it's probably the same because this album is somehow like less than an hour long. But
Coloring Book Coloring Book is 57 minutes 21 seconds.
wow.
Yeah.
And Father of the Bride is 58 minutes 1 second. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they're really similar.
So, the
and
difference-
honestly, Father of the Bride works better for me. Like, it's an easier listen. I enjoy Coloring Book quite a bit, but I feel that they're similar and that they're sprawling and kind of the artist tries a lot of new things, and for some people, some of them just aren't going to work.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, I think More Life is the closest analogy for this one, because this really does feel like an album where it's like, you know what, just grab what you want. Make it what
I
you
think
want.
that's fair. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of see that, but I do feel like the narrative of the album is very important to kind of hear as a whole. You know, where More Life is a lot more like...
I think it's kind of your choice. Like, I think the songs can really stand on their own.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that, but I definitely feel like it's hard to like, I don't feel like I want to listen to a lot of these songs individually a lot of the time. I do actually, like, usually when I want to listen to a song, I end up just going like, all right, I'm just going to listen to the rest of the album, you know, with this, which is weird. It's weird for such a long album to grab me like this, because I feel like that doesn't happen very often nowadays. I mean, like, my album of the year right now, or one of my album of the year is literally like 15, 16 minutes, you know? So, it's weird this album has grabbed me as much as it has.
I'm normally a big proponent of short albums, too.
It's like, if you're gonna make it long, there's gotta be a reason for it.
An album is longer than 45 minutes.
Oh, I agree. And it's like, if you're gonna have a long album like this, you gotta have a reason for it, and if you're gonna have it long, you gotta have, like pretty much flawless pacing. And I feel like this album does have, like, flawless pacing, where, like, I'll get towards the end and I'm like, wait, this album is almost over? What? It feels like, you know,
right.
It only feels like it's been like, you know, like 30 minutes or like 40 minutes, not like, you know, close to 55, you know?
You know, it's a good example. To Pimp a Butterfly is like an hour and 20 minutes long, but it's such a breeze. It feels so much shorter than Currents by Tame Impala, which is not nearly as long, but feels like an eternity.
Yes.
Yes.
This album for me feels like an eternity. I mean, like, it's good. I enjoy most of it, but it just feels like such a grind, you know? Like, I'm really, like, grinding towards the finish here.
Grinding.
Exactly. I don't know, but let's just talk about some songs.
Well, yeah, I want.
Hall
Can we?
is stunning.
It's stunning. I agree.
The production on this album is amazing, and
Yes.
that's kind of one of the best produced tracks. At first, it sounds too, like, glossy, like, on its own, but after Hold You Now, it's, like, just this moment of, like, pure bliss, and then it just absolutely fucks you up.
Like, there's a good
And I love
reason
the
why there's,
finger
like, a
picking.
video, there's, like, 10 hours of Harmony Hall guitars. Like, there's a good reason, because the guitars in the song are really, really fucking good.
It's
really lovely.
Before they put out the song, it was 120 minutes of Harmony Hall guitars.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know for sure. I just was guessing. I just remember that video. I wasn't sure if it was like 10 hours or 120 minutes. Nevertheless, Harmony Hall is really fucking good. I want to mention, I had a joke about one of these songs. So How Long is generally one of the favorites on this album for a lot of people.
Really?
You know what song it reminded me of the most? Motherfucking the best song on Wildflower by the Avalanches, The Noisy Eater, featuring Biz Markie. Think about it. Think about how both these songs sound. And then
I have a little confession. I never listened to Wildflower.
Oh, Wildflower is really good. I was actually listening to it the other day. It's not Since I Left You, and it definitely goes for the more like psychedelic vibe, but there's some heaters.
Frankie Sinatra was a really good single.
Frankie Sinatra actually might be my least favorite song on the album. That's because I don't
That
like
makes sense.
I agree.
I don't like
agree
a
with your
certain
take.
individual who raps on that, whose name rhymes with
Danny
we can just say
Brown.
Danny Brown. Well, here's the thing, Danny Brown.
Of course you don't like Danny Brown.
That should have been a match made in heaven, the Avalanches and Danny Brown, but his songs just don't work on the record. It just feels like really out of place. I feel like Avalanches production on a Danny Brown album would work more, but Danny Brown on an Avalanches song, it just doesn't work. the chemistry they never really had like the strong chemistry. Like Tori Maw's on that album on Wildfire.
Oh, he's amazing.
Amazing.
That's just like
just because I feel like Chillwave was kind of like a logical progression from like Plunderphonics and whatnot. I feel like in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's see another song. This is my favorite song on the record, which might shock some people. I think I like My Mistake. I think that's my favorite song on the record. That's one that people
Good song.
I really like it. I feel like it's the darkest song on the record, which is like, oh yeah, of course that's the one I like the most. Duh. But it's got a lot of the problems of this record that I don't like. It feels, but in spite of like these things that make me not like the song, it does make me like it so much more. Like the jarring digital, like behind the scenes production kind of thing they're doing on there. It's the most apparent on My Mistake, but yet I really like it anyways. I feel like it does kind of work a lot with what he's trying to build, and I don't know. It's hard to articulate. Also, it's a song
I like how it sets Sympathy up to visually look like a gothic cathedral.
Yes. Someone put Sympathy over like the Thor Ragnarok like ending scene where he's just like beating the shit out of people on a bridge, and I was like, that works. That's kind of like a...
Yeah, Sympathy goes pretty hard.
Sympathy might be my favorite song, but I don't know. I really love this whole record. Can we talk about Stranger for a minute?
Yes, sure.
My friend pointed out that it sounds like a Jimmy Buffett song, and honestly, I like it better now.
I was gonna, like, my comparison was like 80s Paul McCartney for some reason. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's just like, that's what came to my head when I was writing notes for the record.
Yeah, the way he sings "You and Kidada" is just primo shit. Very enjoyable.
If there's any problem that I had, I feel like Stranger, like, I feel like that could have been a great outro to the record. You know, I feel like that would have been a fine outro, and that could have been that, you know. But I don't mind. I think Spring Snow and Jerusalem, New York, and Berlin are still very good at, you know, outros. Are good. Like,
sorry, my headphones keep popping out. I hope you guys aren't getting echo.
There was echo. There was.
Ugh. Okay.
It's okay.
It's a podcast where we stay professional.
Yes.
So I think I think the general perception that the vibe that I should be giving is that I'm like not the biggest fan of this record, which is true, but I will say that what I love about it is that it's just so low stakes. Yes. And it's just such a relief. Like I mean, like, the songs I love on it, I love. The songs I don't care for, I just don't really care for. But, like, at the end of the day, it's just, like, we got a Vampire Weekend album, and it's long, and there's a lot of songs on it, so you can add whatever you want to your summer. It's just, like, nice that they're back, and it's nice that it doesn't really matter. And it's not, like, a cultural defining moment, because we had their trilogy, and they can't really top the trilogy, at least they don't want to try right now, which I totally respect, and I'm very proud of them for doing that, because, like, I mean, that's just an unstoppable run of albums, and I'm just glad that it's just low stakes, and it's just easy to it's easy to listen to from a narrative sense. I personally don't think it's the easiest to listen to because of its length and a lot of the experiments that they do, especially with how frantic some of the songs are.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a little jarring, but I mean, I'm just like glad that it exists, and it's not like, even like, I think the cover with like Sony music on it is just like, it's just like, they're like, yeah, whatever, it's just an album. It's like, that's so nice. I'm so glad.
Yeah, I will say there's like, you know, it hasn't exited the discourse yet, but it definitely has not stayed in the public mind as much as you think it would have. You know, I feel like this album, I think, look, it's fans are going to love this record, and they're going to talk about this record, but it's nice that it's just like, oh, there's no big narrative that this record needs to be like this great masterwork. It's just like, it's just a really fun record by a band, by a really good band that, you know, despite, you know, some worries about band members leaving, it's just like, yeah, they're surviving and they're doing really well, you know?
Yeah, I'm absolutely satisfied as a longtime Vampire Weekend fan, and like, they're one of my favorite bands. I won't be shy about that.
Also, very excited to see them live coming up in June.
Oh yeah, me too.
Me too. I'm seeing them.
Jared and I are Yeah, seeing them live together.
I extended my girlfriend's flight because she's coming down here for my sister's wedding, and so again she's staying a couple extra days here, and so we extended her flight by a day so we could go see Vampire Weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him live. I mean, because again, there's a lot of great songs on here. I think the Haim songs are the best ones. I think the ones where they go into that soft country, I would love to see more of that. And I think, and what I really mean by the This Life comparison, or the This Life, no, More Life comparison, is that like, I actually like am strongly considering just making a little playlist that's just like the songs I like and the songs that I don't really want to listen to right now. And I might just do that. And I think it's going to be fine. And I think that the album is fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and Ezra Koenig has actually been encouraging that. Like,
yeah, exactly.
He was like, for some people, they're gonna feel like this album's too long, and whatever. Just cut the songs you don't want to listen to.
Exactly, and that is such a relief that to have an album like that, even if like I don't like, a lot of the Steve Lacy tracks. It's just I don't need to listen to them, and you guys can enjoy them, and you guys can love them, and I don't need to like be bogged down,
I will say, like, just before we get to the next record we're talking about, has anyone seen the live performances for Sunflower?
No.
They make the song longer. They extend the song. So if you don't like
God.
God. It gives me like, I don't know why, but it gives me like terrible anxiety when I listen to the live version because they extend that beginning. What you
mean, because they take so long to get into the vocals.
And I hate that. I hate that. It's just like,
yeah.
It's like are they? Because I think they messed up, and it's not even like a sigh of relief when they finally get to the vocals. It's just like, why the fuck did you guys do that? It gave me anxiety for no reason. Fuck you. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Father of the Bride. I really love it, and yeah.
Before we stop, can we talk about like the short songs?
Oh yeah,
because people are kind of ragging on these and complaining on them, but I think they're like so important.
Oh yeah,
to giving this record a sense of place and just real intimacy.
They really help with the pacing. They really help with the pacing a lot.
It's they can be so humanizing, and like Big Blue is one of my favorite songs on the album.
Superb.
I didn't realize.
I love the short songs. I think the short songs are excellent.
I didn't realize until I was taking notes that Bambina was only like 2 minutes long or less than 2 minutes long. I was like, wait, what? This is only like a minute and a half?
We forgot about Bambina. That's like the best song on the album.
Bambina's great. I had like, it goes by so fast, but it feels like it's so much longer, but in a good way, It's like, I would have not minded this one getting extended, but at the same time, it's like, it's kind of perfect as it is, Rich Man is great. I love Rich Man, I should say, for one of the shorter songs. Although,
yeah, Rich Man is so lovely.
And then like 2021, I love the shitty guitars on that song so much. The guitars sound like trash, and I love it. God.
I love the part in Bambina where Ezra sings "Time cannot be trusted. When the police come, they always come too soon." And then the sirens just blare in the front of the mix for just a brief second, and then the beat changes. It's so good.
Yeah, it's a great. There's a lot of really great musical moments like throughout this record, and it's just like, damn, like this is a band that like I would not expect to continue to be on like the top of their game, but they're still on the top of their game. Like. Because they kind of after Rostam left, and it seemed like they just disappeared for a while. Everyone's like, what's gonna happen? But it's like, damn, this band, they're just like, they're still like really, even on this record that feels very loose, and the stakes are not as high. It still feels like they're really trying on this record, and I appreciate.
Yeah,
that.
it's like, I don't know. I very much think it's a worthy follow up to Modern Vampires. Like that, they got that out of the way, and now they can just kind of be a band.
Yeah. So
I agree with that.
I like this album a lot, and
so I think my closing thoughts are it's too long, but I'm glad it exists, and I'm glad to have Vampire Weekend back.
Yeah,
it's just good. It's just I'm just happy.
Yeah. All right.
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Oh my Lord. Oh my God.
Exactly.
Oh my Lord.
It's the best album that we are discussing today. And it is just, well, it's probably my favorite of the year so far. I think the only thing that would likely dethrone it is a certain LP3 from a certain individual. Jay Brecky. But it's just so good. I think I've listened to it at least like 150 times since I got it, and then since I got it on CD, which was huge because my
Can
broke.
I interrupt for a second to point out that the Skype subtitled Jay Brecky as Tupac?
Oh, holy shit.
Holy shit!
Good stuff.
X-Files theme going off right now.
Oh my god. Okay, is Japanese breakfast Tupac in disguise?
Let me say Jay Brecky and see what pops up. Or okay, Jay Brecky. What pops up when I said that?
Jay Bricky.
Okay, Jeremiah. Oh my
I think
God.
it was because Jero kind of like harshly whispered that it was harder to.
Exactly, because I was trying to conceal the truth.
Okay, anyways, Jeremiah, let's continue with Oh My God, Oh My Lord.
Pull up the track listing. So, Oh My God is a masterpiece. It is Kevin Morby's fifth solo record, and it is his first since the quick 1-2 punch of Singing Saw and City Music that came out in 2016 and 2017, respectively. I think Oh My God it's very ambitious and does not quite achieve the level of consistent greatness that Singing Saw and City Music do, which I think those of us who are real heads and really know can both agree that are both 10s. I think that's just like both instant classics, like easy, would not be upset having both of them in my top 5 of the decade, right? I think this album is not quite a 10. I think it might be like a 9.5 or a 9 if I were to give it the old pitchfork-a-rooney.
You know, I agree with you, but I also think it might be his best album.
I think that's also, I absolutely agree with that. I think we are absolutely on the same page because this is absolutely a masterpiece. It's a flawed but magnificent masterpiece, and it's fucking stellar.
Singing Saw and City Music brought the songs, you know? And it's not that this album doesn't, but like they're both just so immediate and so good.
And this one,
you know? This one's absolutely
that's what we should talk about first, is that the first listen, I was like bummed out.
Oh, me too.
Like, oh god, people are gonna hate this, and like,
yeah.
And my father Kevin, like this is I was a little bummed out. Like by listen 2 or 3, I was like, okay, some of these songs I didn't quite like at first, some of the lyrics I didn't quite like at first, I'm starting to fuck with, and then like listens 12 through 200, I'm like, you know.
The lyrics are really deceptively simple. Like the language is so simple, but they are absolutely communicating.
So I think that's
things.
a lot. That's one of the temptations when you're first listening to the record, is just to dismiss a lot of what he's saying out of hand, because he often turns to, I don't want to say easy rhymes, but I think
they feel like easy rhymes.
So like if you open up the rhyming dictionary,
like every flower has the power.
Yeah, exactly. Like these like pray, say, okay, right? Like those are probably all next to each other in the rhyming dictionary. And so especially when you're like, oh, this guy is like a hyper literate songwriter and he's saying these things. So at first it can be like, these are a little bit cringy, but further listens, I cannot imagine the record any other way. It is so, the simplicity is so powerful. And I think, so for example, one of my favorite lines, or one of my favorite like parts of the whole album is on Piss River, which is the best song of all time. When he's like, I tried to pray, but I didn't know what to say. So I just mumbled some names, said I hope they're okay, and then amen. They were the names of my family and friends. Like that is so simple. And that is like that's something that I would have thought. And well, of course it's something I have and will continue to do. But
Miss River and Hail Mary might be his best songs, honestly.
That's a great take. But it's just so simple, but it's so poignant and so important, and just absolutely. I mean, it is 100% less is more, and he nails it. And there's so much universality. So that's the thing that I was trying to get at, that I actually realized the other day, was that the simpleness, it just makes it so much more universal, and really reminded me of a lot of the early abstract artists, which actually they've said that they were inspired by modern art, and it's kind of stripped down palettes. And that a lot of these painters, so like Piet Mondrian, who made all those geometric lines and shit, you would know him when you saw him. They were going for a universal art form, which is to say, like, just something that everybody, no matter what your cultural background, could enjoy. And I think he achieves this on this record. Maybe not necessarily in like the same way, because like everybody can look at some lines and be like, those are lines, but you obviously need to like speak English to like know what he's saying, but whatever. I think just anybody who is ever, even if you don't really come from a spiritual background, if you've just interacted with with those ideas and those cultures and just been in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I relate to this album
it's
heavy.
Just so it's so universal.
It's he kind of like when talking about the album, he explains how he didn't grow up religious, but has a relationship to it, and has always like found these kind of spiritual themes in his work, and like high key same.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I also like is that he doesn't take a stance. I think actually this is a good segue. It's a good relator to the last record we talked about. I remember when Modern Vampires came out. It was the first album that was on Rock Genius. And that was also, those were the age when the atheists were really like all over the internet.
Yeah.
And like that was like a thing. And so you'd get people going on Modern Vampires songs. So like Everlasting Arms. You know when he says, "Hold me in your everlasting arms. Look, trapped, looking up full of fear, trapped beneath the chandelier that's going down," right? And you're like, okay, hold me in your everlasting arms. People on the internet were like, he's clearly saying that God is trapping him beneath the chandelier, trying to kill him because God is evil and also God doesn't exist. And
I see it more as like anxiety about the possibility of God existing and kind of the forward march of time. And
yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's wondering if he's right to abandon his religion. It's not
and you had this
feeling
two-dimensional, this very two-dimensional narrative, which was like, is Ezra an atheist or is Ezra like not an atheist? And like there was like, it was like a battlefield, and it was strange and really annoying. And even like Pitchfork in their albums of the year, when they had it at #1, just a terrible lazy piece of writing that is like, Yahweh is the sound of Ezra being a staunch atheist. And it's like, what? Like this was actually the state of discourse back then. And
it's weird. It's
very
weird. Clearly like a conflicted record.
Exactly.
I mean, I do hear Yahweh as like him kind of not, I don't know. It's him mourning his faith. I think.
Exactly. There's nothing, and I guess I got off track, but I think this record does a really great job of not even having a horse in the race,
Yeah.
And it's a big relief to listen and to interact with something that deals with spirituality and faith so wholeheartedly, and just not have it make judgment, and not have it force other people to make judgment. It is so good.
It's good stuff.
The instrumentation is simultaneously his sparsest, yet his most grandiose.
Yeah. It's so like, it's ambitious in its simplicity.
Yeah. So I think with the exception of Hail Mary, a lot of the songs on here, and I guess Congratulations too, they're stripped down to their component parts, so you have like, so for example, Nothing Sacred, All Things Wild. You have, I guess, like 4 parts. There's the chorus, there's the choir. There's the choir in the background. The conga drums. There's a saxophone on it, I think, and then there's Kevin Morby, right? Like, that is not a lot of stuff, but also a saxophone, a choir, congas. Like, what the fuck? And it works delightfully, and just so much of this record. Yeah, it is just this reduced palette, but they really just ramp up the color. You know, they're like, yeah, sure, we're only using three tones, but we're gonna fucking send that shit to the stratosphere.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's
Oh
just
my god, rock and roll is so like.
Oh my god, rock and roll is...
but it's amazing.
It's the best song on the album. Best song on the album for sure. Next to No Halo.
That is a good take, but also the wrong take, but also a good.
Honestly, like Savannah. No, Seven Devils Through Savannah is so untouchable to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, Oh My God, Rock and Roll is the important stage setting for that big emotional moment.
Seven Devils, Hail Mary, Piss River might be, I think it's it's a top 5 all-time 3-song sequence. I am like very comfortable saying that. It is just dummy. Like, what the fuck?
I was trying to worship the Lord, but I'm dummy thick.
Exactly. This is exactly right. And then so Seven Devils. Let's just talk about Seven Devils for a second. His songwriting on there is, again, this less is more, and it might be some of the most poignant stuff he's written. Like, the trees in my yard were shaking. You better run, because here comes the storm. You know, just like when I say it, it sounds like I'm a child. But it's just so magnificent. And the final verse, when the organ comes in, and then he says, why did you come into my life? Like, what was I supposed to learn from all of this? There are lessons I've missed. Oh, this mess that I'm in. I don't know what the fuck he says then. And then Meg Duffy's like, bitch, time to die. And I'm like, Meg Duffy guitar solo for Good Times in Rock and Roll? And Meg Duffy's like, yes. Or no. Wait, let me do it again. And I'm like, hey, Meg Duffy, yes. I'm like, rock and roll guitar solo for Good Times and Hard Rockin' and Beer. And then Meg Duffy says, okay. And then me actually gets ravaged like a boss.
It is translating Meg Duffy to Mac Duffy. I don't know if that's what Matty's laughing about, but on some level that is what I am laughing about.
I didn't know that he said, but I was like, me laugh harder.
That's just a stunning moment. And then Hail Mary's, of course, just the fop and buck of the century. Fucking bop of the century. And he also says a bad word on it.
Oh, it's true.
He does say a bad word. I was not like I was like, did I think he said a bad word on OMG Rock and Roll? Like, I think. And I was definitely playing Minecraft with Alex, which is a recurring theme. When Hail Mary, when I was listening to Hail Mary for the first song, and I was like, yo, Hail Mary kind of goes. And I was like, he just said motherfucker. What the hell?
Times Are Funny, motherfucker, does hit so hard.
Like, big yikes. I'm gonna let, because I'm just gonna keep talking about why I like that. I just love it, and not really talk about too much substantial. So I'm gonna pass the lead, and then come in when I feel that an intervention of the divine sort is necessary.
Translated that to pass the weed.
Karis?
Good stuff.
God, okay. Do you want to take this? Here's the thing. Alex is going to praise the record. I'm going to not praise the record.
All right, we'll go with you, and then that way we can destroy.
I have absolutely no notes, so I don't know how to lead a discussion.
I don't have a whole lot of notes. I don't have a whole lot of notes either, so I'm just going to kind of ramble off the head of just thoughts on this record.
We'll pass it.
I should note, Jeremiah heard this record early because of me, so we will say that off the bat. I won't say too much because hopefully there's no PR people listening and I don't get my privileges revoked. Anyways, when I first listened to this record, I did really love this record at first. I really did love it. I was like, I almost very quickly made the comparison to my favorite album of all time, which is like, that doesn't happen very often, for an album.
That's high praise.
But
The
no, The Redeemer by Dean
the
Blunt.
Redeemer.
By Dean Blunt. The religious themes and whatnot, I was like, wow, there's some similarities here, and like kind of the more slower parts and whatnot. I was like, yeah, this is like this. I could really end up loving this record, but as I kept getting into it, I just like found myself less and less into it. I feel like I got. It's weird that you guys are like, oh yeah, Seven Devils to was it Seven Devils to Savannah, like that stretch, or is it Seven Devils to Piss River?
Seven Devils to Piss River, and then Savannah.
I mean, to me, Savannah's that shit.
I feel like that's the stretch of the album that ends up kind of losing me a little bit. On the most recent listen that I did for this podcast, that's where I got kind of lost in this record, where I feel like it kind of, the pacing, it's a very slow record. Like, that should be noted. I will say
that when I started, those songs absolutely lost me too. But yes. I just didn't really like the album at all the first time I listened. I was very upset.
I will give it another chance. I feel like it was just like, because I had just listened to Father of the Bride before I listened to this album, so I feel like maybe I was just like pooped out when it came to like listening to music, and I just kind of wanted to like take a breather. So I feel
Father of the Bride will do that to you.
Father of the Bride is a very long record. You don't realize how long it is until it's over, and you're like, oh fuck. And you try to listen to something else, and it's like not as. So I feel like that's probably like, I should say like me being negative is not really. It's probably like more biased because of that from the most recent listen.
I think, but actually you really do raise a good point, which is that the pacing is really interesting, and that was one of the things that bummed me out at first, because it felt like, you had Oh My God, which is just an amazing opener, sets the stage, and then No Halo, which could definitely be on the next FIFA, which is not, sounds like it's not, those are kind words, that is a compliment. Nothing Sacred is, I mean, it's the same rhythm the whole time, like, and then OMG Rock and Roll really ramps up, and then it goes into that outro, and then Seven Devils is so plodding and slow that it's just like you're like okay, and it just starts to feel like it loses momentum, and that was how I felt the first time. And so even with like Hail Mary being a banger, you have the So Hail Mary like interludes there, it can feel really slow. And then as you get to the end, even with Congratulations being a bop and a half, I Want to Be Clean, which is not slow, feels slow. Sing a Glad Song feels slow. It all just feels slow. And that was one of the revelations as I continued to listen to it more, because I was just like, I couldn't stop listening to it. Even if I was a little bummed out at first that I didn't like it so much, I couldn't stop.
Yeah,
I was like, the album would end, I was like, all right, round two.
But I don't hear it anymore.
I don't hear it anymore either. I think it is one of the most perfectly sequenced albums I've ever heard. And I think actually a lot of that needs, a good way to think about it is in its final release, where it was advertised as a double LP, as a double album. And when you look at the album through that lens, you're like, oh, I really see it. So you get the first 4 songs as side A. Seven Devil through Piss River is side B, and then you go on to disc 2, and Savannah, Storm, Congratulations, and I Want to Be Clean are side 3 or side C, and then the last 3 songs are side D. Like when you put it into sections, into like chapters almost, or movements, the cohesion really starts to become clear. And also the more you listen to it, the more each song really differentiates itself and what he's doing on it, because we've talked about his lyrics and how he's going for simpler, not necessarily less thoughtful, but simpler lyrics. But he's going for different kinds of simple lyrics on every fucking song, like, and he has way different rhyme schemes. You have like the sort of waltz 3 in a row rhymes of Piss River, and then you never see that again until I Want to Be Clean. And so there's these little narrative threads going through with what he sings about and how he sings it, going through it, that start to weave it together. And then you just start to hear the differences in these songs, and they really become beautiful. The song at first that I was really the most reluctant about was Savannah. And that was because of the spoken word part, where he just kind of rambles, and I was like, oh no, people are gonna hate this because it's like...
That's where we talked about his friend, right? The one he thought he was gonna die.
Yeah,
Okay, just making sure.
I think it's about Richard Swift, who did die, and I think that song is. I didn't get Savannah. I was just like, the first part is pretty. I don't quite get the last part. It's almost like it feels almost a little cringy. Like, forgive me for saying that. And then I was reading the first chapter of Gabor Mate, who is a psychoanalyst. His book In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts, which is a groundbreaking just book about his time spent in the drug slums of Vancouver, which not a lot of people know, but Vancouver is like one of the biggest like drug like there's areas of Vancouver where it's just plagued by the opioid epidemic, and he's just there.
I absolutely did not know that.
And yeah, he's like, they're like under underpasses, and he's just working with these addicts, and it's just such a powerful work where like people who he's hanging out with one day are just dead the next. Like, and so I was reading that when Savannah came on, and I was like, youch! Big hurdy! Woo! Owie!
Yeah. See,
also,
I have friends that were always in danger of hurting themselves, and so this song immediately stuck out to me and was kind of one of the moments I connected to more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's big owie juice.
Oh boy.
I
hear someone's laptop or computer is really struggling to finish this podcast.
It's because it's really struggling because Savannah is such a good song, and it just doesn't really know how to compute.
I will say, I had positive. I will say I did have positive listens to this album where I did really like the album. I just like the most recent listen was like, oh, do I like this record as much as I thought I did? You know, like, it was just like, I will listen. Like I said, I don't think my thoughts are final. It's definitely a record that I think even people who don't like it, you do need to listen to it. It depends on, like, if you don't get it on the first listen and you don't feel like exploring it more, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I encourage you to listen to it a few more times, but at the same time, you know, people don't have time, and it's like, if you want to go on to something else, I don't blame you. You know.
Yeah.
There's other stuff, but I feel like, again, what I'm getting from you and what I want to get back there to that point where you keep listening, you keep exploring this record, you really get into the narrative, you really get into the concepts. There is a lot of stuff to enjoy, because, like I said, I don't disagree. I still think my take about it being a very comparable album to The Redeemer by Dean Blunt is still a very apt take in terms of the religious themes and sort of the more slower ambient sections. And although I did have a comment in the chat that I would love to hear, like, Kevin Morby do like a person pitch type album where he's kind of like,
yeah, that would be fun. I don't know what that would consist of.
More like sample based type stuff, like that.
Yeah,
I think would be really fun.
That would be outlandish and sweet as hell.
But yeah,
I think also I feel like we should address the big flaming turd of fat shit in the room, which is the Pitchfork review.
Oh yeah,
which was just. I mean, I think that is. I'm confident saying that that's one of the worst reviews they've ever done. Andy Beta's not a great writer, and he never has been, and has always been kind of dislikable. But this one, he just took it up a notch. He like listened to it once, was like, "Fee Fi Fo is trite," and I'm like, "What does that mean? What does that mean? When was the last time you heard fee fi fo fum in a sentence?" Right? And he's just like, it's cliche, and then Pitchfork kept like retweeting it every hour, being like, it's cliche. And then Kevin Morby's mom got in on it, and she was like, "You back the fuck off. You clearly did not want to like this coming into it, and you're writing like a fucking 6-year-old." And I was like, go off. And then he was like, this is the first time that an artist's mom has ever added me, so I guess I'm doing something right. And I was like, I'm gonna fucking... Anyways,
it's okay.
The moral of the story is that if you want to review an album, it's a good idea to listen to it more than once.
It's true.
Especially when it deals with complex themes and is ambitious. Like this one is. I think...
Very good album.
It is extremely good. I think it is.
I
have not been able to stop listening to it. Kasha's gotten mad at me because she's in the car and like OMG is just playing, and she's like, "What? Can we just enough? Like, can we go to a different CD?" And I'm like, "I'll just turn off the thing, and then when you're gone, I'll just listen to it." I just can't stop listening to it. I
think you have a problem.
It's just delightful.
B is starting to get that way with old Bobby Dylan. Because I just keep playing Subterranean Homesick Blues, and it grates on her.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't put it down, you know? I can't stop revisiting it, and it's just, even without all of like the meaning and the glory and the I love moviesness of it, it's just so nice to listen to. It's just amazing. Congratulations is a bop. I Want to Be Clean is amazing, and I want to be clean. Ooh, you can just hear like ad libs, you know. And I want to be clean. No, I don't want to be mean. You know. It's just great. I just fucking love it.
I think those to that record.
I think Kevin Morby spirituality has always been in his music, and on the flip side of that, because the flip side of spirituality is always death. Death has also been part of his music, and never before has he really just taken both of those and just really ramped it up. So it is. And it can be a dreary record, but at the same time, it is full of hope and full of longing and full of faith. Even if it's not necessarily faith that he knows, if he doesn't even like know what he has faith in, you know. But he just has faith and he has love and he has hope, and it's just a very beautiful, powerful record, and an exploration of life and death, and it's just phenomenal. And when Aaron flew off the handle and he went to the funeral, I fucking put stones in my shoes and started running all over the place, because I was like, put me in a motherfucking coffin, Kevin. You guys have played, all right, you guys have played Smash, right? The new Smash?
Yes.
Have you guys seen Simon or Richter's Final Smash? When he literally puts him in a coffin and then punches him? That's it. That's what this shit is.
Oh, Jeremiah, I think I've probably talked about this in the chat, but I do want to reveal it for the audio listeners out here. My take about OMG rock and roll. The little outro section, you know, when On Site, when Kanye's like, you know that part On Site where it suddenly cuts to the choir? Like, that's the instant comparison I made, was like, oh shit, this is a Yeezus moment. This is fucking easy. Kevin Morby is On Site. All right.
I also love that they took the intro to I'm Waiting for My Man on OMG rock and roll.
Oh, I didn't piece that together. Shit, yeah, you're right.
It's this record is just great. I feel like we didn't talk about Piss River enough, but like, Piss River is the greatest song of all time. When he says, "Mama, I'm scared," and then she says, "I know, baby, I'm scared too," I said, "Youch." And then whenever he was like, "I love my mama, she's great," I was like, "Youch." And then this whole song, he's just like, "My mom rules," and I'm like, ah, ah, ah.
Okay, okay, let's not do that. Okay, all right. All right, that's it. I'm done. All right.
Actually, wait. You know what? I didn't say it. I said it before the cast, but also he's a horny devil dog on this album. Congratulations is a really horny song, anyways. But like, if you read the liner notes, if you read like the lyrics, he's like, "You've got a beautiful body and a beautiful mind." So like, that's what he says in the lyrics sheet. It goes, "You got a beautiful body, Katie. A beautiful mind, Crutchfield," and you're like,
Aww.
"Horny devil dog out the window. What is he doing? He's losing it." And that's it. That's what I gotta say. OMG is my favorite album of the year so far. I will listen to it often. It will not leave my car for a very long time, and it's a very good pickup on CD. I'm just gonna say it.
All right. I don't have any other takes. I've said all I need to say. Alex, is there any other words you need to say about Mr. Kevin Morby?
I like the Kevin Morby. I'm a large fan.
Give me steam.
Steam. You want some steam? Okay.
As if you were a Dwemer Centurion construct and you were shooting.
Yeah, I don't have anything for you, Jero. I'm sorry.
All right,
but this is a great album. I love it.
Oh my god, it's the greatest album of all time.
The 3 albums we talked about today are my favorites of the year by far. Not even close.
Stone cold stunner of a take.
Ooh,
yeah.
Let's see. Before we wrap up this podcast, I want to mention some records. For those who are still listening, I want to mention some records because of my position as an Indieheads moderator and doing the AMAs and all that stuff. I do get a chance to listen to some albums early, and I want to give you guys put some albums on your guys' radar that you should be checking out when they come out in the next month or so. The first one that comes out, I think, next week or the end of May. This new Faye Webster album, Atlanta Millionaires Club, that's coming out is very, very good. If you like your some soft yeehaw music, it is very good soft yeehaw music.
And I will say, I've been putting that one off because of the cover.
The cover is really bad. The cover is really bad.
Gross.
It is really bad and it's really gross. You got to remember that like she came up in like Awful Records, like Father's record label, and like I Love McCona and all that stuff. Like that's where she came up from.
Yeah.
And so like it's like that's still that kind of aesthetic and that kind of like putting people off.
Aesthetic.
Woo!
Despite the bad album cover, it is a very good album, and I definitely recommend it to everyone when it comes out.
I've not seen the album cover.
Coming out next week. I know this is coming out next week. I finally know when it's coming out. Is the Cat LeBon record?
Yes.
What's it called? Reward?
I think so. Yeah.
Reward. It is. So the singles that have been released so far, Daylight Matters is one of the best songs of the year for sure. Just stunning. Home to You is also amazing. And The Light is also great. But those 3 songs are kind of they're kind of the only of their kind on the record. It's a very strange record. It's pretty whimsical at times. It's just kind of out there and like Dada-y, but also it's just interspersed with these moments of really just beautiful just musicianship, and it's just a great record. Very different, very it's a little disorienting, but it's really great.
And
look forward to that one.
Oh, and the last one, that motherfucking new Black Midi album that's coming out, folks. You aren't ready. You aren't ready. So
is this their debut?
Yes, their debut record. If you really liked Ott's debut record or like their first 2 records, you're gonna love this. I will say.
I do. You know what? I will say, Sun Coming Down is one of those big records.
Sun Coming Down is a great record. That's
a big cummy. If I were to give an album a big cummy, I would give it to Sun Coming Down.
I would agree. It is a very. I'm not gonna. I how do you say that and not like break immediately, Jeremiah? I don't get it. I can't even say it without like laughing hard.
I just like accept Big Cummy into my life. You know? Alex knows.
I absolutely do know. Big Cummy is my friend.
And he's strong, and he's real.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot like Jeremiah. It's definitely like heavier, but. Mm-hmm. And but it's got like some light moments there, and it's a bit more neurotic than all is very neurotic. It's very good. I can't reveal too much about it because there's like it's under some heavy embargoes and whatnot. But I just want to know
what album I want.
What?
I want another Tim Darcy solo album.
I would love a Tim Darcy solo album again, but I did really, really love Room Inside the World more than most people, so I'm pretty content.
Actually, I fear that we have just unleashed a beast here. Given that both of you, I know Alex hasn't said it yet, but Alex has a heater for us. Alex, you want to go ahead and give us the heater regarding the Tim Darcy solo record?
Oh, it's way better than any of the Odd albums.
Oh,
it is far and away my favorite of his output. It's I don't know. It just
I told you Alex was packing heat.
It's so much more like open and intimate and bare. Like on that album on Saturday Night, he's a real person. and and the post-punk thing is fine and good, but I don't know, like, Room Inside the World had some great songs. Like, Desire, that might be his best song, but it's hard to listen to.
I don't know.
I
respect the take. I will say I respect the take. I don't agree, but I love I love Room Inside the World. I love Sun Coming Down like so much. You know, like those are two very. At least Sun Coming Down is a very important record for me. So, like,
actually, I realized there's one record that we missed this month that came out. It is called Essentially Single by Japanese Breakfast.
No. Oh, yes.
That song is amazing. I listen to it very frequently.
Mm-hmm.
I want a 20-minute dance mix of it on a 12-inch, and I'll just play it on repeat every day of my life until I die.
Did you guys listen to the new Local Natives album?
I have not gotten to it yet.
I listened to it once, and I enjoyed a lot of the instrumentation, but I think I was in a bad mood, and I felt it was a lot of the vocals were a little bit higher than they normally are on Local Native records, and it was a little bit, felt a little cloying. I do want to revisit it.
It is.
I love the sound.
I don't know. It's okay, but it's so much less human and authentic than their previous albums.
Mm-hmm.
It very much feels like they're trying to do something, but they didn't do the emotional work necessary.
I suppose this is a nice daily reminder that Hummingbird is one of the best albums of the decade.
Oh, for sure.
I've kind of lost touch with that side of me, but I feel like it is due time for a reckoning. When I listen to Hummingbird and then throw a brick across the room and then just really let it all out. All right, so I think...
Oh, yeah, we gotta wrap up.
Before we get distracted, let's just wrap it up.
All right, so hopefully you all enjoyed this podcast. Of course, if you like us, go to subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, all those places where
donate to us on Patreon.
We don't have a Patreon.
We don't have a Patreon.
We don't have a Patreon because
we don't have a Patreon, but this is a good opportunity for someone who wants to make a quick buck off of the Indieheads podcast name.
Yeah, just make a Patreon, and people will donate to it.
Hit me up on Venmo, MattyMo22097 if you want to support.
If you want to buy me the deluxe edition of Oh My God, I would really appreciate that.
you gotta get people the Venmo, the Cash App, PayPal. Where can they give you this money, Alex?
Zelle. You guys use Zelle? Zelle's the hip thing. All the banks love it. It's like the bank version of Venmo.
Very interesting.
Anyways, again, as I mentioned, subscribe us on YouTube, iTunes. Give us a good rating on iTunes if you feel like it. Like us on Facebook or YouTube. I don't know what else. We do have podcast plans on the way. Again, hopefully,
hopefully have a billboard out sometime very soon.
Yeah, billboard. There's a lot has changed.
The summer 2019 inaugural cast.
I will say, you know what? The only song that's on the Hot 100 right now that is that one that we discussed on the last one, which was almost a year ago. Or not really a year ago. It was a couple months ago. Without Me by Halsey is still in the top 10, I think.
Yeah, what the fuck? I thought that was the song, but I wasn't sure. I was like, maybe this is another Halsey song.
No, it was on the last episode. I think it's the only one that's stayed. But nevertheless,
it wasn't even that good.
It was it was meh. It was meh.
Pretty mediocre.
Yeah, it hit number 1 at some point.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, Billboard episode.
For more content like this, stay looking out for our next Billboard cast.
And if you are a fan of the band My Chemical Romance, also look out not next week for potential retrospect episode 3 on one of their records. Because
I've realized that that of the Indieheads podcast segments, the Billboard cast is the chaotic neutral.
Do you remember
the album Catch Up is true neutral?
I was I was checking my time hop the other day. Young King Dave has been dead for over a year now, man. That's sad.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Young King Dave.
To the legend.
It also just reminded me because I was looking at my time up. One of my favorite moments of the podcast was me trying to to recite that and just
that
like
Billboard
losing my
cast
mind.
was high-key one of the best we've ever done.
It's so much fun. It's very long, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If you stuck through it, it's a lot of fun. And again, like, it's just me losing it is just a very happy memory of my stomach being in knots, just trying to finish that podcast. But anyways, hey folks, that is it. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. We will see you hopefully very, very soon. So
have a nice day.
Have a blessed Sunday, everyone.
Make sure to play some Minecraft and Skyrim.
For its 10th year anniversary and stuff. And Skyrim is my friend and strong.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.